What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Winners Win podcast, presented by iKon Boats, and your host, Brayden Cox. I'm pretty excited about this one, guys. It's going to be the first one of the 2025 season, and we're going to kick it off with the Bassmaster College Series tournament, which I really like talking about these. They're a lot of fun and don't get as much coverage as they should. But before we get into the thick of things there, I do want to give a big shout out to all the guys at Miller Tech Lithium Batteries. They stepped up big for me this year again, and I wouldn't be promoting them to you guys if I didn't wholeheartedly believe that they were the best in the business in what they do, and more importantly, I think the people that work there and everyone involved in the company is really makes it worth it, and they're truly there for you. So, like I said, please go check them out. And if you guys are ordering online, please use code BCOXFishing15 for 15% off your order. Okay, now that all the housekeeping stuff is over, let's get into the thick of things here. We're here to talk to your winners from the Bassmaster College Series on Lake Okeechobee from January 29th and 30th, Brayden Batchelor and Quinn Williams from Georgia Southern. So congratulations, guys, from me. I appreciate you joining the show, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So you guys had 42 pounds and 3 ounces for a 2-day total. And that had to feel pretty good to get that win. So just talk to me a little bit about how it felt to get the win on such a huge tournament like that.
You
got it,
first, Brent.
No, you
Oh
got
boy.
it.
All right. Yeah, it felt great. It was actually my first college tournament, so it was crazy going in there and winning it. But yeah, best feeling of my life, and it was like I've said a bunch of times, it was a great feeling because we got a real close group of guys here, and we all celebrated like crazy. So it felt good to bring it home to Georgia Southern, and it was a crazy feeling. I just keep repeating it, but it is the craziest feeling of my life, and I was super happy and glad me and Brayden did it together. So yeah, you go, Brayden.
Yeah, it was like Quinn said. It's an emotion that you cannot explain with words. I mean, it's amazing. Like whether it's the thing that you do, like when you win, it does such good things for your team. It gives everybody momentum. There's just so many good things that come out of winning one of those, like for your team and for everybody. And it just means the world. And like all the people that text and call, it's crazy. You never know how big of an army you have, like supporting you and stuff, until like you do something like this. And yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing. Like I've been doing this college thing for 4 years, so this is the start of my fourth year fishing college tournament. So I'm a little different than Quinn. This is his first one, but I mean, like our group hasn't always been tight. But it seems like this year, all of us are traveling on the same trails. Like we're all staying together. We're eating out. It's just, this win has done amazing things for the team. And it's awesome. It's just an amazing feeling that you can't explain with words, like I said.
That's pretty incredible to hear, and I'm sure, like you said, it's just an incredible feeling. So before I talk a little bit more about that, if you guys could both, just for anyone that doesn't know who you guys are, give a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, what grade you're in, what you're studying. Obviously, both you guys are at Georgia Southern. And then one thing I always like to ask is if you could only fish with one technique for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Okay, I'm Quinn Williams. I go to Georgia Southern University. I am a senior this year, well, a junior. And what was it? I'm from St. Cloud, Florida, actually, and I'm up here studying in Georgia. And if I could fish with one technique for the rest of my life, probably be, oh man, I don't know. I like a swim jig bite a lot, but I should say weightless fluke because we won the tournament on it. But I guess a swim jig bite. All right,
Um,
Braden.
my name's Brayden Batchelor, and I'm from Greensboro, Georgia, which is a really small town. I'm actually from a city called Siloam, which is even smaller, but a lot of people don't know where that is. But if you know where Athens, Georgia is, go Dogs. Sorry, I know this is Ohio State, but go Dogs. But um, like they're in Athens, Georgia, and I'm about 40 minutes from there. So, but yeah, my major is construction management as well, and I'm a senior, and I'm actually the president of the Georgia Southern fishing team here. So, but yeah, and if I could only have one technique for the rest of my life, it'd probably have to be, I don't know, probably a jig because of how versatile it is. You can swim it, you can fish it out deep, you can fish it up shallow, skip docks, probably a
Yeah,
jig, yeah. A jig or
yeah.
probably
A frog.
if forward facing sonar stayed in here, it'd probably have to be a minnow. I mean,
Yeah, right.
so
Any of those are hard to beat.
yeah.
I have a couple questions to start. First of all, Quinn, that's pretty awesome that it was your first tournament ever. What made you get into it this year?
Well, I've actually met Brayden in previous classes that we've had together, and he's always talked about fishing on the team. And I've always fished in my hometown. I did some tournaments in middle school, and then really slowed down in high school because I got busy with other sports. But I always fished consistently, like small weekend tournaments, and always out with my buddies fishing. And then sports kind of stopped after high school, so I fished really heavy freshman and sophomore year of high school, and then Brayden needed a partner this year, so I hopped on the team and fished it, and this was my first college tournament, was Okeechobee with Brayden. So it was a cool first tournament.
I don't even know if you know how lucky you are to win your first tournament. That's
Yeah, that's
something
crazy.
so many people just strive for so hard, and those things are so dang hard to win. They've gotten so competitive. I mean, you think about with the Elite Series starting tomorrow, like how many of those guys you can look back. Brayden, I know. I mean, I'm sure Quinn, you've paid attention to it and fished, obviously, like you said. But Brayden fishing
Yeah.
against some of those guys. I mean, you think about fishing against Tucker and I mean all those guys, and you're just like, this is crazy just to see them all really make it to the next level. And I mean, that's the dream. It's kind of
It's
crazy.
also
to see
crazy. Like, not many people get to win those because you only get to fish them for 4, max 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
That. Oh
So,
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I mean, some of the best pros like out there that have made it through college, they didn't even win a tournament. They were just so consistent throughout college. So it's definitely crazy to win. Like, we went into it just wanting to qualify,
right,
and we came out of it with the win. And I feel like that's how you win. Like, it just
right.
falls in your lap. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Brayden, you mentioned that you're the president of the team over there at Georgia Southern.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just talk to me a little bit about like your guys' team dynamic? Like, do you guys get any
Yes.
sort of funding? How many teams do you guys have?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a coach? Those kind of things.
So no, we do not have a coach. A few years ago, we had kind of like not a falling out, but we had some like funds get moved in the wrong way, and all this crazy stuff happened like probably 2 or 3 years ago. And me and one other guy named Tyler Thompson kind of came together and pushed the team up like to where it needed to be. And then I became treasurer. And then like we have officers and stuff that do stuff for the team. Like for example, get excuse letters. We have people that get excuse letters for us through the dean so we can go to these tournaments. So like it's a well ran thing now. And Tyler, he decided to step down as president, and I went right into president. But I mean, it doesn't even matter the labels. Like being the president of the team, yeah, I could probably put that on my resume. It looks good, but we're all such like everybody's the president in my eyes. You know, like we're all the runners of the team, whether it's finances, whether it's I mean mentally, physically, like it doesn't matter. We're all there for the same purpose. So and no, we do not get any funding from the school. So I'm actually they have not recognized this yet, and that tomorrow, what somebody from communications is going to do an interview with me for an article. So the school isn't really as supportive as much, but I mean, like it doesn't matter. We still brought it home for our school. That I mean, for our team, and so yeah, we don't get any funding. So all of our money is funded straight through sponsors and any kind of fundraising that we can do just throughout the year. But yeah, and those I want to thank my sponsors. And would you like me to do it now? It's probably a good time.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so the sponsors that have helped us a lot this year, and they helped us get where we're going, is Spike It Outdoors. Everybody knows about Spike It. I mean, they've been in the business for years, and they're actually not too far from Georgia Southern's campus. So we have a guy that works there, Tyler Thompson, like I was saying. So Spike It Outdoors, they stick their necks out for us. Yellowstone Landscaping, Quinn, he actually got them from his hometown, and they're amazing people for landscaping. If you ever need anything in that St. Cloud area, Yellowstone Landscaping is the way to go. But Smoke Firewood, and Reed and Reed Construction, those guys, they help us so much. They send us money and they stick their necks out for us. And No Live Bait Needed, they've came through this year. They're a new company. We met them at iKon, and I think that they have some big things coming for the bass world of things. So they're a bait company to look out for. And then Starling Electric, CNC Liquidations, Doc Savage, and Incorporated Heating and Air. And all those people, I wanted to give them time on this because they make this stuff possible. Like like I said, we don't get any funding from the school. So when you see Georgia Southern wins, it's not really us winning; it's the sponsors winning because like we stick our necks out for them because they stick their necks out for us. So I thank them so much for that.
Right, and I totally get that because we're the same way here at Ohio State where we don't get any funding. So I think a lot of people don't really understand what that really means when it comes to, having to compete against. You look at those schools that were there, the huge Montevellos, Carson Newmans, Adrians, all of those guys where they get fully funding, just swipe the team card, if you will, and then there's us and you guys that are working so hard for every dollar you make just to make it to those tournaments.
Like, it's kind of weird. They give us the chance to show them how much money we need. Like the school does. It's not even the school. It's like through like a club sports thing. So
Right.
it's still not from the school technically. It's like you said, like Auburn, they just get to swipe it or whatever you said. But like it's not like that for us. We have a team account that we've made through the years and just kept up, and that's how we've been doing it. So same as probably y'all do.
Yep, that's how we do it. I just like to always talk about that with those people who win because honestly, most of them don't get funding, and I think a lot of people have that misconception of that these kids just get to go and fish all these tournaments on their school's account, and that's just not the reality of it. And
No.
And then you see guys like you come out on top, and it's just cool to see how that comes full circle to come in the win and beat a lot of those bigger name schools. So
That is true. Yes, that's that. I like that you brought that up because that is very true. It's awesome. Like that is a great feeling of it too.
Right, definitely a cool part of it. But with that being said, do you guys plan on fishing the rest of the Lunkers Trail?
Yes.
Yeah, we're fishing Bugs Island and Chick.
Yeah.
Okay, well that'll be pretty cool. How's it feel to already be qualified and have a win, I guess, but already be qualified for that 2025 national championship? Most likely be in August, I would guess.
Yeah, it makes you fish freely a lot easier.
Yeah, but definitely, you got to still keep your head in it. We can't just let up. We got to fish consistent. Me and Brayden were talking about you can't just go in there and you got to still fish super hard, even though we qualified already. So
no preconceived notions is what I was saying.
Yeah,
like that. So
right,
you just have to take every day with a grain of salt because it's probably not going to go your way. So
right, that's definitely true. And staying in it for the team of the year points and ultimately trying to make it to that college bracket would be pretty sweet. So you guys are in a pretty dang good spot for that, I would say, for now. So
yeah,
that'd be pretty cool to fish those last two. But getting out of the tournament on Okeechobee. Have either of you guys been there before? And what was your pre-practice prep like before you even got to the lake? What kind of stuff did you look at? Quinn, I know you said you're from Florida, so did any of your prior knowledge in Florida help anything? Just talk me through that a little bit.
Well, yeah, so I'm from Florida, and I live on the Kissimmee chain, so I literally fish that constantly every time I'm home, every day, as much as I can. And really, we went into it. We didn't expect that cold front to really hurt the fish that bad, and the bite was slow, really, really slow. One of the hardest bites I've ever fished in Florida, and we tried everything for the first 2 days of practice, and we caught one fish each day. It was terrible, and nothing we planned on really worked. Chatterbait bite didn't work. Nothing was working really. Scoping in the rim canal didn't work, and before you talk a little more, Brayden, but what we thought before. Coming to Okeechobee.
I have never been to Lake Okeechobee. Quinn said he might have fished it once, maybe, right, Quinn?
Yeah, one time, yeah,
but it wasn't like a serious trip or nothing.
Yeah,
but we had never fished there before. But so before I came, I was kind of I'd watch the opens, I watched the live thing, you know what I'm saying, and saw the warming trend, how they got that warming trend that week, and then fish, Randall Tharp was saying on that live that oh yeah, fish are just showing up in areas that I ain't ever caught a fish in. Fish are coming to me. So that's what I was like, okay, so the beginning of the tournament, the beginning of practice is probably not going to be like the beginning of the tournament because it was 53-degree water when we first got there. And then I was and I had a frog on the deck, stuff like that. I was 53-degree water in Florida. So we ended up trying all over the lake. The north end was where I wanted to try because I'm a big weather guy. I always stare at the weather the week or two before the tournament, and there was straight north winds coming from the north for like, I mean, it was like almost a week straight down there before we got there. So I was like, the north end of the lake might be warmer water because all the water's been blowing down south. And we got up there and I was right, but it was 53 degrees up there. It was like 52 at the start down there. So it wasn't that much of a difference. So that was an advantage I thought I'd have, but I didn't. And then the dirty water. Like we got down there and
Yeah.
finding clean water was like, it was almost impossible. And then when you found it, there was like 4 boats in it and everybody's clouding it up with their trolling motors. So that's just Lake Okeechobee for you. But the end of day 2 of practice, like I just sat outside in the boat and I was just like looking at how big the place was. And I was like, I've been fishing this place like a madman. Like I've been running here. Let's try this area. Let's try this. Let's try this. So I was like, I have to find something that I'm familiar with. And I looked on the south end of the lake and like near Pelican Bay, and there's a place called Winnie's Pond or Winnie's Ditch or something like that. And it's down there, and it had like 2 or 3 backwater ponds within, I would say, a 4 or 5 mile radius. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend the first part of our practice down there, like on the last day. And we pulled in one, and there was a boat in there. I think it was an LSU boat, but we pulled in there, and there was an LSU boat in there, and we caught 1 or 2 like fish, and one of them was like 211. I actually hooked one next to the LSU boat, and I held him down the whole time. And the fish like jumped up in the middle of the lake, and the guys threw over there at it. But I thought that was funny. But then we went back and we found that other backwater where we did all of our damage, and we went in there and actually this exact chatterbait that I have on my desk, I threw that chatterbait out there, and a 5-pounder ate it, and I got it probably 3 feet, and she shook the hook. So I was like, all right, we're coming back in here. And because me and Quinn looked around in the backwater, it was like a foot everywhere. And we were like, oh God, there's fish waking everywhere. Like those
And it was
probably are
crystal
big
clear.
bass. Yeah, and the
It was
water
like,
was like crystal clear. And it was insane
yeah.
because like where we had to get through, we had to push with a net, like to get back there. And when we finally got back there, the water like in that canal went from like, I mean, it was like a wall, mud to clear. Like it was like a wall. It was insane. And then we got to the clear water and started getting bites. So that's how it is in Florida. And like we were just hoping nobody found it. And I guess we can talk about the tournament after this. So
Yeah, that's pretty
but,
insane. So, one of my questions. So, obviously, it was that huge cold front. I mean, I was fishing the Harris Chain the week before. You guys were down there with that, like right in the middle of that cold front. It obviously turned brutal. So, how did that impact? I mean, obviously, I know you guys had a relatively warm week at Okeechobee the week you were there, but how did that impact? I mean, obviously, it was pretty tough. I looked. 20th place was 27-4 for 2 days. Everyone knows how big waves come out of Okeechobee. So that's just over 13.5 pounds a day.
yeah, it
And
feels
like I
like
said,
we
that's a
robbed
stacked
them.
field. Right.
Yeah, it feels like we robbed them winning with 42 pounds. Like when you said that in the beginning, I was like, how did we win Okeechobee with 42 pounds? You know,
Right.
it's
That's what I'm
crazy.
saying. Like, it's clearly the fish were in not a good mood, not at the point
No.
where they were truly pulling up to spawn. So you guys really found them. So that's pretty cool. So how did that cold front before really change? I know you talked about it a little bit, but how did it change your approach when, like, getting to the lake?
I mean, it changed. It just changed my like. I kind of figured in Florida the weather wasn't as bad, but that north wind it really does bad things on like water. Like and like it's not even just north wind; it was just wind. Like that wind killed the water temp. So, and it made it muddy. So the cold front kind of gave us bad conditions, and it made it to where Okeechobee was going to fish extremely small. Like there was 1 or 2 spots in Monkey Box with clean water, and then the canals were clean, sorta. Not the rim canals, but the canals on the north end were clean. But there was like not much clean water, and in the dirty water, you'd flip up there, catch one your first cast, and then go down 100 reeds that looked the same thing in the muddy water, not get a bite. So it was like one here, one there. So I don't know. It was fishing very tough, very tough. But the night temps got better, like throughout practice, and that's what pushed those fish up shallow to spawn. And then the BFL the week after, the lake exploded. It took like 32 something to win. So the lake exploded to the real Okeechobee. So
Right. That's pretty crazy. And then my second question was when you said you guys found backwater areas. Like, what can you explain what that looked like a little more? Like, how big were these areas? I know you said it was super shallow. You guys had to push your way into there, super clear water. But like, how big of an area are we talking?
Well, the first spot we pulled into was probably like a football field, I would
Yeah.
say. You think so, Braden?
Yeah,
And
about like a football field.
but the same thing, that first pond that we didn't fish the tournament, but we had in our back pocket just in case we needed it, was probably a football field, but the same bottom and the same like crystal clear water.
Yeah.
It was literally just a little. Braden's boat hardly fit through it. Probably a 3 foot little cut in, and then it opened up into a pond, and it was crystal clear. So we found that, and I caught like a 2, and Brayden caught that fish. He shook off, and we had a few other bites, but we looked on the maps a little more, and we found this other one that looked a little bigger. So we ran over there. It was probably 5 minutes away, and we went through that cut, and that cut was really hard to get into. He had a big motor, and I had a trolling motor and push with the net. Like we were just, it was a hassle to get back there. And when it opened up back there, it was like double the size, probably 2 football fields.
Yeah, and it
was
had
big.
like 2 parts of it. Like it had one right side of it that was kind of like a pond, and then the other side was like a little just cut, like it was like a little bowl. But
Yeah,
I mean, and then it had like I don't know, something on the bottom. It was like dead reeds, and it was like viney. I don't know. That was like if we found that was really good. I don't know what it was about that bottom, but that was definitely good.
It was literally 1 7. Like the depth was 1'7" the whole time. Like there was that's it.
And then
but
there was
it was just really the water.
There was one
little
depression
depressions
in the middle, and it was like 3 feet or 2.5. And day one, like we sat in one spot, and those fish were in that little depression. So, like I think that they were coming in through the canal and just sitting there before going back to bed. They were just sitting in that little depression in the deepest water they knew was around. So. But
even me fishing in Florida, like my whole life, usually you have like on the Kissimmee chain, everywhere else, you have that dark sweet tea looking water, but it still has some clarity. But the whole lake, it was nasty. I've never seen like Florida water like brown. You couldn't see.
You could see the silt in it. It was like moving.
Like it was terrible, and the fish did not hold in it at all. So when we found that clear water, I mean, it was automatic. I caught a 2.11, and then Brayden jumped that 5, and we left. We didn't fish it anymore. Brayden said, "Put the rods up," and we left. And then the next morning, we came back in that spot and fished it for the 2 days. But yeah, it was literally just a pond back there with a little.
And getting back there, it was like so. There's one big pond, and then you go through the big pond that had dirty water, and then in the back of it was this little tiny cut through some hyacinths. Or hyacinths or gator grass, I don't know what it was, but your boat had probably 2.5 foot to get through. You had to just get up through there, and and Quinn would sit down. I'd push us through the big motor, and then he'd get on the trolling motor again, and like it was a process. But by the time we did it enough, we kind of cleaned out a path. So it wasn't as tough getting in as it sounds, but we did have to push. Like it was definitely a pushable place. We had to push to get back there. So
and also. Well, you asked another question, Brayden. You're good.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to ask, after you guys caught that 5-pounder on the last day of practice, so on that Tuesday, like sitting there tournament morning, that Wednesday morning, did you guys know you had any chance of catching your 19 pounds you did on day one? You were sitting in 5th place after day one. So just talk to me a little bit about how you felt going into the tournament on that morning, and then walk me through your day one of the tournament.
I mean, me and Quinn, when we got those bites in that area, we knew how tough the place was fishing. And I just looked at Quinn. I said, let's put our rods up. This is a spot that we could probably qualify in. Because what'd you say, 27 to qualify? That's 13, 14 a day. So, I knew for a fact we jumped a 5 off and we had a 2.11. We had a chance to qualify is what I believe. And that's what I told Quinn. And we literally left. We had time to practice more, but we left. And I didn't want to find anything else and make it spread me out, So I literally put the rods up. I said, let's go rig up, make sure everything's ready. And that's what we did. And then we got to the tournament, and day one was kind of weird. We got in there, and there was a Florida Gateway College boat in there. So we knew that we weren't going to have it to ourselves, which we had hoped. But he stayed in there until about 10 o'clock. what do you say, Quinn? 10?
Yeah, 10.
And he
Yeah.
just left and never came back. And after he left, like, he was kind of on the better side of things, sort of. And we wanted to get over there a little bit, but when he left, we kind of fished freely and we could move around and power pole down in more different spots. And that was like that's when we power poled down, and Quinn just sat on the back deck while I flipped fish to him. He wasn't even netting them because he was literally bounce beaming one and then throwing it back, and then he'd be like, "All right, I got another one," and then he'd pull it over there, and then he would look at it again and be like, and then I'd have to sit down and help him every now and then. But oh my gosh, like it was
Yeah,
just
I
we
cold
went
for
through a
probably
flurry.
45 minutes. I cold
Yeah,
for 45 minutes straight. I didn't
like
pick up a rod.
he would stand up, pick up his rod, I'd be like, got one, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, like I can't even fish, like
Yeah.
so. And then after I caught like a 6.5, and then I caught that last 5-pounder, and I looked at Quinn, I was like, let's leave. So we
Yeah.
left day
And
one,
the rest
like
of our fish were 2.5s.
yeah. So
All of our fish were solid.
yeah, so we were like, okay, like we're good. We have 19. I really thought in my head that we had 20. I don't know why. I thought the 6.5 we had was a 7.5. So I thought we had 20 in my head, and I was like, if we have 20 pounds on this kind of Okeechobee, the way it's fishing, we could win tomorrow if we just increase our weight by 5 or 6 pounds, is what I thought it was going to take. So I was like, me and Quinn made that decision, and that's what won us the tournament. Like that
Yeah.
decision right there. We literally
Yeah, because
looked at
our
each other.
weigh-in was 4:30,
Yeah.
and we left the spot at 2, just so we didn't pressure it for another 2 hours, and we already had good fish in the boat.
And I'm not even gonna lie, it kind of made me feel better because we got out of there at 2, and the day after we had to get out at 2 as well to be back at 3 because the boat numbers switched. So it kind of made me feel better. Like, well, Quinn, we did all of our damage before 2, and I really did. Like, I called that 5 at like 1:30, so we could have left then. So I was like, okay, like I felt really good about day 2. I really did. I told Quinn, I was like, there's a chance we go in there and 0, and there's a chance we go in there and catch probably 30 pounds. Like I really thought it was possible. And if we would have had 4 or 2 or 3 more hours, I think it it would have been possible. We could have caught 1 or 2 more big ones.
Yeah.
Big ones. So, but
That's
that
pretty
and
crazy.
we had like I said, we had a one of our people on our team. They stayed an extra night to fish our spot, and they caught like a 7 and an 8 in there the next day. So,
Oh my
or
gosh.
wasn't it? Or what? Didn't they catch an 8 or a 7?
Yeah, I think it was an 8 and a 7. Like, they had like
Yeah.
a 29-pound bag. Like,
Yeah.
they had a big bag.
Yeah.
Just having
After
fun
the
fishing
tournament.
that area.
Like
Yeah.
the day after the tournament on Saturday. So
That's actually
that spot
insane.
was replenishing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
the fish, really, all the fish were the second day, well, the first day we caught them fish, and then the second day, like, all the fish were so fresh, and we didn't trolling motor. Like, big key part of this was we'd go somewhere, power pull down, and fish for 30 minutes probably, cast around for 30 minutes, then literally just lift the power poles, go 10 feet, 15 feet, power pull down again, and just keep casting.
I wouldn't even cast while, like, I'm so serious. I started casting day 1 while the trolling motor was going. I wouldn't get any bites. I power pulled down. We'd sit there for 5 minutes and then start getting bites.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
they couldn't
that
figure out
the
where
trolling
we were.
motor vibration
Yeah.
and it stirring up the bottom. Like, they did not like it at
Yeah.
all. And we figured that out like day 2 really is like when we fully committed to power pulling down. We didn't touch the trolling motor. You know, every once in a while to move a couple feet and then power pull down and then get our bites. But day 2, there was fish swimming under the boat. Like, me and Brayden would be on the front and just be like, look at that 3-pounder swimming under the boat.
There's a
and then they
3-pounder
would come
spawning.
right there, just come start fanning their bed, like right in front of the boat. Like, it was ridiculous. It was all fresh fish.
Yeah, we watched the Florida Gateway guy in there. He said there was an 11-pounder on bed in there, and he came in there day 2. He was in there all day 2, and he had 21 pounds day 2. So that tells you also how good that area was. But when he told us, he was like, dude, there's an 11-pounder over there. I watched him blow like a 15-pound tilapia out of the water, and I was like, this spot is insane. Like, it was actually crazy. And one thing that I didn't even realize that now that I'm realizing, on day 1 we caught about 30 keepers probably, and day 2 we did not catch a single fish with a hook spot in his mouth, and we caught 40 fish day 2.
Probably more.
Probably more,
Yeah, I mean,
honestly. Now that I think about it, it's probably 50.
it was ridiculous. Like it was getting like just every cat. Like we had 5 casts in a row. We'd catch a fish or get a
Yeah.
bite. Like it was insane, and they were waking everywhere, and every fish was solid. Every fish was a 2 pounder. I mean, it
Yeah.
was insane.
That
It
sounds like a
was it was a
blast.
dream spot, definitely.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to go back and hear you talk about Brayden, like you mentioned, when you were watching Open, you heard Randall Tharp talking about how fish were just coming to him, and then using that and actually seeing it come to play like
Yeah,
during your
exactly.
tournament. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like I knew that like I kind of I have been to Florida so many times and I've gotten my butt beat down there so many times and I look back at what I was doing and I was running too much. Like when I go to Harrison, I try to fish 3 lakes. Like I don't know why I do that, but now I understand Florida a little more. You have to just put the trolling motor down and fish. Like like you have to stay in, find a good area and just beat it down to the ground because there's going to be fish moving to you. It's Florida. Like just like how you said with Randall Tharp, he said like I fished this 2 days ago and there was 12 inchers on it. Now there's 5 pounders on it. So stuff like that happens big time in Florida with warming fronts. So
Yeah, definitely the warm, and they just want to find warm water and a place to spawn at. So
yeah,
literally, they were just funneling in.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
that's pretty dang cool. We'll get into how you actually caught them in a second, but now you guys are sitting in fifth place after day one. I mean, look, you guys had 19-1 on day one, like I said, sitting in fifth place. So going into day two, I know you touched on a little bit that you caught more fish. Like I said, all fresh fish, but just walk me through your day two of the tournament a little bit. Obviously, you're not in there by yourself anymore. You have the Florida Gateway guys in there the whole day, but you have a
Oh, it
little
was
bit
a
more
solo.
figured out.
My bad.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
a solo Florida Gateway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a solo guy in there. It's still another boat, and then
Yeah, yeah.
but now you have figured out the power pole thing. One question about the power pole thing: did you guys fish with any graphs on? Did you guys turn those off too?
Turned them off.
Off.
Turn them off.
Yeah.
That's what
There
I
was a
figured.
guy, the Florida Gateway guy, and nothing against what he was doing. He was doing a really good job. Day two, he was like catching big ones, but he told me that he was using forward, like not perspective. He was using forward, and just like literally looking over there, he would see like a little indentation in the bottom, and then a little dot above it, and he would throw his fluke or his whatever he was throwing over there, and they would just destroy it. So but we were just cutting them off and making as far casts we could. Like I'd never caught, and Quinn didn't either. We never caught a big fish on a short cast. Like they never bit it next to the boat. We had to see a wake and then bomb it way out there, and then bam, he would eat it like as soon as it hit the water, like the big ones. So
Right.
that was a big key.
Yeah.
Right.
But about day two, I think like another key to it is Brayden started off day one with a chatterbait, and I started day one off with a June bug speedworm, and then Brayden picked up a fluke probably 11 o'clock, I would say, maybe 10:30 day one.
Yeah, it was a little
And
earlier. Yeah, but it
yeah,
was sometime
with
around
like with fluoro and weightless fluke, just slowly bouncing it off the bottom, and it was just on nonstop bites from that. I mean, we got little chatterbait bites and June bug speedworm fish, but just right when we picked up the fluke, it was a whole different ball game.
then.
So we didn't throw anything else. Like that's it. We figured it out. A watermelon red fluke, and then
This
day two we
exact
came in
one.
there.
Like,
Yeah, day two we came in there and just used that the whole time, and it was just ridiculous. So day two we felt confident. I think like, and we were coaling in the first 15 minutes of day two. So I think that helped our confidence a lot, and we just fished so calm. Like day one we were stressed, like, but day two we were just talking, like having a great time, fishing, calm, confident. Like I think that helped us so much. Like looking back at the tournament, just like having fun.
yeah,
I think that's
black
something that's
soot started coming out of the sky.
Yeah, and fishing confident. We were just having a great time because we really thought we qualified with the fish that we had, and then day two, pretty early, Brayden caught that high 4 and the 5 was pretty
Yeah,
early in the day.
yeah, it was really early. Like 10
Yeah,
o'clock,
so
we had a 4 and a 5. So
Yeah, and we were already coaling 2.5s like
yeah,
consistently. So I think the confidence helped. Like we just had a great day fishing, so we were super confident. Just we found out they wanted the fluke bounced off the bottom. Like first day, Brayden caught so many more fish than me because I was just twitching my fluke super fast, and Brayden was just slowly working it on the bottom. And then we found that pattern out, and we just stuck to it the whole day. And I think that's why we did so good day 2.
Yeah.
Did you guys have experience throwing a fluke down there? Like, what caused you guys to pull that out? Because, I mean, obviously, when a fluke is something, but I mean, throwing a chatterbait and a speedworm are such Florida staples, or I mean, flipping a Senko or doing anything that's normal Florida staple like that. I'd say I wouldn't classify myself. I wouldn't classify fluke in there. So, how'd you guys really figure that out, or what made you even throw that to start? Because that's pretty impressive.
I do that on Lake Seminole a good bit sometimes in the backwaters. Like if you get back in there and they are very like lethargic, or not really lethargic, but like kind of spooky, like you flip a speedworm over there and then he drifts and goes away. You can throw like a fluke. And I fish the Savannah River a good bit, so I love throwing a fluke above brush piles. I know that's way different, but I love a fluke. I've always had experience like on Hartwell and on Clark's Hill and stuff like that with a fluke. So a fluke is probably a bait that stays tied on my boat year round. So, but that's white
that'll do
sometimes.
it.
But you know what I mean. I just love the technique so much. So.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, obviously, it seemed to work better than any other bait that you guys threw. So that's pretty awesome. And you guys ended up with 23 pounds.
Those. Yeah, Quinn had the watermelon red flukes. I didn't have any green pumpkin flukes. I had one that was like Houdini or something, a weird color, but he had the watermelon red ones. And then so that was just the deal. So.
Yeah, and then we bought. After that, I had 2 packs of those. Day 1, ran through them, and we bought 5 packs, I think, or 4 packs.
No, we bought 3 packs and went through.
Yeah, and blew. We didn't have a single one left. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Every one, dude. The bottom of my boat, Quinn. After he caught the big one, day 2, like he caught it in the last 20 minutes. He's like, "I got to clean up your boat." I just about busted my butt because like you'd step in the bottom of the boat and your foot would roll because the flukes, like the way that they are. We had so many in the bottom of the boat. It was crazy. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
But you guys ended up with 23 pounds, 2 ounces on day 2. And I was watching weigh-in. You guys weighed in relatively early compared to the entire field. So I know you guys got the hot seat, obviously. I mean, did you guys have any idea sitting there in the hot seat that you were going to win? Did you think you had a chance to win? It's Florida, so you know, like you said, a 30-pound bag walking across that stage is likely at that point.
Yeah.
So how'd you feel? Like, I mean, the guys that were sitting in first go by and didn't catch them as good as they did, and then it just keeps going. So how did that feel to be up there for that long? And like I said, did you know you had a chance to win after your day on day 2?
You got it, Quinn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we weighed in early, and me and Brayden actually leaving that cut, like going away in day 2. We both looked at each other, and Brayden was like, "What do you have? What do you think we have?" Because we didn't weigh our fish, and I was like, "Well, like we weighed our fish, but we didn't weigh that big fish, the kicker at the end." And I was like, I don't know, 19 pounds again, 20, just touching 20, I thought. And I think Brayden said we had 20 pounds.
21-14 is my guess.
Yeah,
that
was his guess.
Yeah.
So we were confident.
22.
And then we weighed in and we had 23.4, was it? I think
23.2.
23.2, and then we weighed big fish, and my big fish was 7.4. So then we sat in the hot seat for a while, and we were pretty confident. You know, every bag we were stressing out, looking at them, trying to see what they had. And then they held. Didn't they? They held the first place the whole time.
They hold
right?
the top 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So they held them, and we were stressing, and they looked happy over there. And Brayden thought he seen them lift up the bag, and it looked like they had like a giant in there.
No, they pulled out like a fish for a picture, and the guys I think it was the Lander guys, day 2. I can't remember, but they had a 14 pounds, but they had a big one. Like they had like one that was like 6 pounds or 5 pounds, and I was like,
yeah.
They just pulled out a 6-pounder for a picture. Like, there's no way they don't have like at least one more, you know?
Yeah,
so
right.
That's just the emotions that you run through.
Yeah, we were freaking out the whole time. It was not that fun sitting in the hot seat for that long. But then they walked up. Yeah, it was fun, but it was a rough hour and a half probably. We were up there, and they walked up on stage, and they shook our hand before weighing, and then they said, "You got us." And me and Brayden we started smiling.
Like, no way.
Yeah, we did it, and then they weighed in, and we won. So yeah, it's kind of. But I think I was pretty confident sitting up in them chairs. I think Brayden was too. We were.
Yeah.
But there's
We
always
could
that
definitely
chance that.
tell, like day two,
Yeah.
like the hype was not around the weigh-in. Everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, our day was so tough." Like and actually it scared me too because one of Quinn's friends, Trip Berlinski, he called him day two really good. So I was like,
Yeah. He had 23 pounds
yeah.
also.
So he's from Florida as well. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, those Florida guys, because he weighed in early, and I was like, those Florida guys are really gonna catch him today because something was in the cards for Florida people, but. I don't know. It's just like I said, when it's meant to be, God is going to give it to you, and that's what He did. He set it in our lap. So
Yeah, I feel
that's
like you
just how
said,
it is.
you can almost feel it. Everything goes your way,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it seemed
Like
to have
like
happened. So that's
like
pretty
on day
awesome.
two, like I'll just say this last thing about the us catching them in there. Like we literally everything was going right to the point of like they hadn't bit a chatterbait day two, and we had said like we knew the deal was that fluke, but one fish like way far away just kind of surfaced just a little bit, and it was a little bit outside of my fluke cast, and without thinking I just threw the rod down, grabbed the chatterbait, threw it over there, and she waked right to it, like, and I was like, wow, like it's just meant to be, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that starts happening and you're like, what can I do wrong right now?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that 7 pounder in the last 20 minutes
Hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on the phone during that. Actually, it was tucked up in my ear and my shoulder like this, and I was twitching my fluke, and I seen the line start running, and I set the hook, and it didn't move, and I was like, "Braden, it's big," and he came up, ripped the phone out my ear, threw it in the boat, and then she started pulling drag, and I seen her flash, and I started screaming, I was like, "Braden, it's big," and then he landed it, and then we were just freaked out. I screamed, he screamed, I couldn't stand up, we were shaking. So
That's
it was a
awesome.
crazy feeling. Yeah, I couldn't even fish after that. I was
Yeah.
done.
Oh, I believe it. About the hot seat, like you said, it being stressful. Like I'm sure it was so stressful in the moment, but now looking back on it, knowing the outcome, it had to be such a cool experience to be able to sit up there for as long as you guys did. That'd be pretty awesome.
It
Yeah,
was awesome looking up at the bleachers and seeing Georgia Southern's team take up like the whole top corner of it, and I was like, wow, that was honestly the best feeling I remember from it. Because like our team, we always went like last year we went half would fish lunkers, half would fish legends. So not many people came to our tournament. So this year when we have, oh yeah, you asked me earlier, we have 12 people on our team, or 12 people that fish, and actually now we have 14 people on our team and 7 teams. So, but yeah, now that all 6 teams are running together and we just looked up there and Georgia Southern was taking out like the top of the thing, it just like made you feel like you were like at Montevello or something. Like it was
Dude,
just
that's so
crazy.
cool.
Like it's awesome. Like especially for like you were talking about how it means for kind of a smaller team in the school, like or a smaller team in college fishing to come and win. That was another part of it that made it amazing because like I don't know, everybody was there. It just felt like a homecoming. You know what I'm saying? It was just crazy. So
I know
yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's pretty awesome. You guys got to
yeah,
experience that, and
yeah.
congratulations one more time for me about the tournament. That's
Appreciate it.
awesome that you guys got to win. That's super cool. But I'm assuming that this is your guys' most memorable tournament that you guys have
yeah,
fished.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
assume so. I
definitely.
mean, yeah, winning one of those has to
probably.
be
Yeah.
insane. How'd you guys both get into fishing? Like, how long ago did you guys start fishing? I know, Quinn, you already talked about fishing in high school, but what got you guys into it, and how'd you start getting into the competitive aspect of it?
Quinn, you want
You
to
can
go?
go, Braid.
Oh
You
well,
got it.
so I started fishing from a very young age. My Aunt Lynn, she had like this little pond behind her house, and I was like 8 or 9 or 10, or I don't even know how old I was, but I went down there with a beetle spin, and I caught about a 10-pound blue cat on a beetle spin on a Zebco 33, and I was like, that was fun. So at the time, I was playing baseball, and like my dad would give me incentives through baseball. Like if you get 3 RBIs, we'll go to academy, and I'll get you a bait caster. So started like that, and then we met somebody named David Thornton. He's a big person of my success. He taught me a lot about what I know about fishing, and we met him at like a gun store, and he works there in the fishing section, and he took us out on Lake Oconee, and then kind of got my dad in the right hands for getting us a boat, like where to get it, who to get it from, and then I've been fishing tournaments since I was like 12 or 13, so I've been doing it a really long time, but really not that long, like 9 or 10 years, but it's an awesome feeling to like win after doing all that because like it just seems so worth it, you know. And in high school, I fished a lot of tournaments. I fished the national championship. I placed ninth in the world and fifth in the nation there. That's probably my most memorable tournament on Lake Hartwell. So that was a really fun tournament. But yeah, that's how I really got started fishing. I just fished tournaments around the house is how I really started, like Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair. So, you know.
Yeah, so I got started same super young, elementary school. Um, I live in a neighborhood, so Florida neighborhoods, they have a million ponds in them, and I would go around and super young, probably second grade. Me and my dad would go and we'd catch bluegill and stuff, and then my first bass, I was second grade. I caught a bluegill, and the bass came and ate the bluegill, and I landed him, and I was hooked ever since. And my neighbor, he was a big tournament fisher, and he fished a lot of locals and opens and stuff around the house in Florida, and he gave me my first two bait casters. It was some really old Johnny Morris combos, and I started using those around the neighborhood, and then I finally got my first bait caster, and then started going around more ponds. And then sixth grade, I fished my first tournament in a club called Teen Anglers. It was like a tournament around St. Cloud. They do a bunch of locals, and then I did a few of those. And then high school is what I kind of slowed down because I was super busy with basketball and I was traveling everywhere and still fishing every weekend and stuff, but I couldn't do tournaments and do the club stuff. And then when I came to college, I didn't play basketball anymore, so then I've been super into it just as much as I can and fishing on the team and fishing stuff around my town and stuff like that. So pretty much been fishing my whole life.
Right, that makes sense. Brayden, you mentioned placing that highly in the world and nations for high school. So I mean, that's kind of a big accomplishment. Just to brush off just quickly, like give me a little bit of rundown of that tournament now. Just how'd you catch them? What kind of weight did you guys have? And how was that experience?
Kind of the same thing. Literally different state, different place, but we were finding like really hard to get places to get. Like getting my boat back in really hard to get places. So we found a spot called Big Beaver Dam Creek, and the bridge, like the way that the water was, it was really hard to get under that bridge. And we made it possible. We literally pushed down the boat, got under it, and we did good in the back there. And then we did really just flipping like bushes and stuff in the middle of the summer. I mean, throwing a frog, throwing like flipping and frogging is like my favorite thing in the world to do. I love doing that. So I kind of did that. It was my last high school tournament. I was like, I'm gonna fish my strengths, and I did. And it was like a 3 fish limit. It was a weird little deal. It was a long time ago, but yeah, the plaques are over there on the wall. Those two right there. But yeah, it was a great tournament. I mean, we had like 9 pounds a day almost. So we had like just really good three and a halves, 2.5s, 3.5. So it was a really fun tournament, and it still doesn't compare to this because like I mean it obviously it felt good to do it around the house like in Lake Hartwell, but it definitely felt cool to go to a place that I've never seen before, like with my own eyes, and figure it out enough in a week to win. Like that's just the coolest thing about all of it to me. So
Yeah, that's got to be pretty awesome. But
yeah,
that sounds like an awesome, fun tournament too at Hartwell. So that's pretty
yeah,
cool that you
it
got to do
was.
that. And going from there and coming through the high school ranks and fishing in college, if each of you guys, like, what would your one piece of advice be for college kids looking to get into the fishing scene, whether they're coming out of high school or if they've never fished a tournament before and just want to get into it? So what would your guys' advice be for guys like that?
There you go.
I
There you
think you
go.
go. Yeah, you fished a lot more tournaments than me, Brad. So
Well,
it's all you.
obviously, like the first thing is don't give up. Like, please don't give up. Like, I was, if I would have given up so many years ago because like I couldn't win one because I had this like curse I thought it was that I could not win like a big high school or college or like a big tournament, and because I had come close so many times. Like I placed second, I placed third, you place second again. It's like wow, I'm never going to be capable of winning. But one piece of advice: everyone is capable of winning. I don't care if your motor breaks down and you sit next to the tournament ramp. You could still win the tournament right there. Like, don't ever give up. Stuff like that. When it's your time, it's your time. So my time just took that long to get there, and don't give up. And then my next piece of advice is market yourself. You need to put yourself out there like you are literally trying to get a job. Like I mean, the other day, high school fishing is it's innovating, I guess you could say, because like we got a literal letter in the mail from someone, and they told us their weight, their height, like it was like they're sending it to a football school to be like with a football scholarship. Like that guy, that person, that shows a lot about who it actually is and who you're picking to fish for you. So if you're making that jump from high school to college, market yourself like you are trying to get a job. Like I said, like do your best and show your best accomplishments, show everything that you can to show that you're actually in it like 100%. And if you and my last piece of advice is, if you believe in something, do it. Like, go with your gut. Always on the water, go with your gut. I don't care what it is. If you see wind blowing on a bank that you've never fished before and something says there's fish there, go try it. I don't care you're in a tournament. Try. You know? So, yeah, those are the 3 best pieces of advice that I could give.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
I
some really
think
good advice.
I think my advice is like reach out. If you really want to fish college, reach out. DM us, DM like it's bass fishing. We're a good community. People want to talk. People love to help out. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and send Georgia Southern Fishing a DM or send a company. Like, people want to help each other, and there's a good community around bass fishing. So I think reaching out is super important. And even if you want to get into local tournaments around your house, reach out to people. There's always opportunities to fish. There's so many tournaments and so many ways to get into fishing. I think that's like my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think there's been so much negativity around the fishing world that's been such loud noise, and I just don't think it's a representation of the real, true community that there is in bass fishing. So I think that's another good piece of advice, is that there's so many good people in the fishing community, like you said. I'm sure you guys have experienced it, and I know you guys talked about how big of an army you have earlier, and it really comes to show, like when people just, like you said, they just want to help each other. So that's cool that you guys brought that up. But before we wrap it up here, I want to give you guys a chance. I know, Brayden, you already shout out some of your guys' sponsors, but any other sponsors or social medias for the school, for you guys personally, just anybody you'd like to give a thank you to, or just mention here while we're talking.
Yeah, I think Georgia Southern Fishing is our Instagram. Right, Brayden?
Yeah, Georgia Southern Fishing.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, inquiries, anything, please reach out to that Georgia Southern Fishing on Instagram, and you'll be taken to the right hands. Like we want new people on the team, as many as we can. And if you have had any questions about Georgia Southern, you're a high schooler, like feel free, even if you don't want to come here, to just reach out to us. I'll have a conversation with you. Like, we're really good people, and that's all we want, is to show my love of fishing through giving people a chance to fish tournaments in college, you know? So, like, I love the fact that, like, high school, it's like a stepping stone to college. So that, you need to take advantage of that. So, like, everybody, that if you ever have a question or anything, like I said, please reach out to Georgia Southern Fishing, and we'll make sure you get put in the right hands. But what else did you say? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just anyone else you want to talk about it? Yeah, sponsors. Any personal social medias you guys have? Anything?
Yes, I do. I do want to thank Jesus Christ first off. Like he was there in the boat with us that week. There was a cross. I don't know if you're religious, but there was a cross.
100%.
And it was, let me pull it up on my phone just to show it one more time, because this is probably the last podcast. But
yeah, there was a cross at the mouth of the pond that we had to get up into. So I thought that was, Brayden thought, well, both of us thought it was crazy. Yeah. He took a picture. We both took a picture of it. But yeah, like he's about to say, just everything went right. Like he was watching over us big time. And I'm a believer, and Brayden's a believer, and he was with us.
Hang on.
That's pretty awesome.
Hang on.
But
I don't know. Can you see that?
You could see it there.
That's awesome.
That was like the mouth of where we were going into. So like that was like, I don't know, everything was just going right, and we were making the right decisions without even realizing it. And like coming out of that area on day one, I just looked up and that cross was there, and we didn't see it in practice at all. So like day one, I was like, wow, like it sent chills down my spine. Not even gonna lie, like it was a big, crazy moment. Like it just, it's crazy. And I do want to thank my parents as well. My parents, they make this stuff possible as well. They pushed me through high school and stuff, and like it, I can't thank them enough. Like they provide the funding for me. So that is a great thing to have. And but yeah, all of our sponsors, thank you so much for everything that they do for us. Like they make this possible, like I said, for us. So Quinn, if there's anyone else you'd like to thank, I'm done.
Yeah, just my parents, of course, and then the sponsors. The sponsors do so much for us, and we wouldn't be here without them. So, yeah, definitely big thanks to them.
And our
Yeah,
team.
that's
I
awesome.
want to thank our team for
Yeah, our team.
for I mean, every one of those guys deserved to be there just as much as we were. Like everyone works just near as hard. So like every one of those guys, like I love them to death. They're like my brothers. Like it's amazing. So yeah, I want to thank them. I know that I've done it a plenty of times, but I want to thank them on this because it really does mean the world. Without our team, it wouldn't be possible. I mean, I know that.
Right. And I believe that. So that's really good stuff, guys. And I really appreciate you guys jumping on here. It was a super good show, and I think the listeners will really like it.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, like I said, I really appreciate it. Congratulations one more time from me. And I hope to have you guys on the show again.
And thank you to
Yeah.
iKon Boats, and
Yeah.
thank you to you for doing this,
Of
and
course.
thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.